Marina always believed she was one of the lucky ones. At 25, she married Andre, a successful businessman and owner of a small construction company. He adored her. Random flowers, luxury vacations, a spacious apartment in an elite district of Moscow. Her life felt like a curated dream. Smart girl, she thought, admiring herself in the mirror. Long chestnut hair, a slim figure, deep brown eyes, she had it all. And the man who could afford it. Andre worked tirelessly, dreaming of kids and a quiet family life in a future home he wanted to build for them. He often talked about their shared future. Marina smiled and nodded, but deep down she knew. Andre wasn't her love story. He was her ticket to comfort. 3 years into the marriage, boredom crept in. Routine dinners, endless discussions about work, the same weekend plans. It all felt painfully dull. Marina craved something wild, exciting, forbidden. The opportunity came when Andre suggested she take a job at his friend's advertising agency. "You've got a degree in marketing," he said. "Why not put it to use instead of staying home all day?" Marina agreed. The agency, called Premium, looked promising, and the director, Oleg Kravtsov, left quite the impression during the interview. He was 42, athletic, silver at his temples, sharp suits, expensive cologne, the kind of man who turned heads. Married to the daughter of a wealthy developer, Oleg ran his own agency thanks to those connections. From day one, Marina felt his eyes on her. He dropped by her department often, complimenting her work, offering advice. "You have incredible taste," he said once, leaning close. "That layout is brilliant." Marina blushed, soaking in the attention. Oleg smelled of power and money. Compared to him, Andre suddenly seemed small town. Within weeks, things turned personal. Late-night meetings turned into dinners, gifts followed, and flirtation turned to intimacy. Marina knew she was crossing a line, but she couldn't stop. "You're different," Oleg whispered one night, kissing her hand in a candlelit restaurant. Smart, beautiful, unforgettable. At home, Andre spoke of cement prices and tax filings. Oleg talked poetry, architecture, passion. Around him, Marina felt seen, not as a housewife, but as a woman. The affair lasted a year. Marina mastered the art of lying, claiming late meetings, girls' nights, visits to her mother. Andre trusted her completely. Even the office gossip queen didn't suspect a thing. Marina and Oleg were careful, never left together, barely exchanged glances at work. But outside those walls, they lived like lovers in a parallel world. Then came the moment that changed everything. Oleg invited Marina to a 2-week work trip to Sochi, carefully disguised as a professional retreat. "I'll file it as a research trip on luxury resort marketing," he explained. "No one will question it." Marina barely hesitated. She told Andre she was going to St. Petersburg on business. "Good for you," he smiled. "Proud of you." Her guilt flickered but vanished quickly. She deserved this. She was entitled to romance and thrill. In Sochi, Oleg spared no expense, ocean view suite, fine dining, private spa sessions. Marina felt like the star of her own movie. For a week it was paradise. Sunset walks, intimate dinners, whispered dreams. Marina started imagining a future without Andre, but with Oleg, until it all came crashing down. On day 8, she ran into an old college classmate on the beach. "Marina," the woman squealed, hugging her, "and this must be your husband, Andre." Oleg, confused, handed over champagne glasses and smiled politely. Marina froze but forced a grin. "Yes, this is Andre." The woman, oblivious, chatted briefly and left. Oleg turned to her. "What was that?" "A talkative classmate. She thinks you're my husband. It's better that way." Oleg didn't argue. He just looked, wary. That moment marked the beginning of the end. When they returned to Moscow, the damage was already unfolding. The talkative classmate, Victoria, happened to bump into Andre at a shopping center. "Andre, great to see you. Marina's back from Sochi, right? You two looked amazing at the resort. Though you look different now, have you gone gray?" Andre blinked. "Sochi?" "Of course," she laughed. "The Pearl Resort. You and Marina look like newlyweds." Andre didn't know what to say. Marina had told him she was in St. Petersburg on business. He had no gray hair. He was only 30. She must have mistaken me for someone else, he muttered. But the seed of doubt had been planted. That evening, he gently asked Marina about her trip. She told her story effortlessly, details about meetings, hotel rooms, competitors in St. Petersburg. Flawless. But now he was watching. Listening. Then he called his old friend Pavel, who worked at a private investigations firm. Pasha, I need to know where my wife really was 2 weeks ago. Pavel didn't ask questions. A week later, he handed Andrei a folder. Inside were photos. Marina and a man hugging on a beach in Sochi, dining by candlelight, dancing under the stars. The man was identified in the report. Oleg Kravtsov, age 42, director of the premium agency, married to Elena Kravtsova, daughter of a real estate tycoon. No children. Andrei stared at the images in silence. His wife, the woman he loved and trusted, had betrayed him for an entire year. But he didn't confront her. He planned. First, he met with Oleg's wife. Elena Kravtsova was no ordinary housewife. She was a sharp businesswoman with shares in the agency and powerful connections. They met at a quiet cafe. I have something to show you, Andrei said, handing her the folder. She flipped through the photos without emotion, her face calm but pale. Thank you, she said. I'll handle it. I do have one favor to ask, he added. A friend of mine, Victoria Petrova, is trying to break into modeling. I heard you have ties in that world. Have her contact me, Elena said coolly. That evening, Elena fired Oleg and filed for divorce. Thanks to a prenuptial agreement, she retained all shared assets, the business, the cars, the house. Meanwhile, Andrei packed his things and left Marina a simple note. Marina, I think by now you know I've seen everything. I won't shout. I won't beg for an explanation. I'm leaving. The apartment stays with you. I'm not cruel. Be happy. If you can. Andrei. When Marina came home, the silence was deafening. No husband, no trace of his presence. Just a folded note on the kitchen table and his wedding ring beside it. The next day at work, she got hit with the second blow. Mr. Kravtsov is no longer with us, said the office manager softly. Please report to the new director. The new director? Elena Kravtsova. Elena sat behind the desk with the poise of someone who had already won. Ms. Marina, she said, I trust you understand why your continued employment is no longer appropriate. Please submit your resignation. The severance will be generous. Marina left the office with a cardboard box in her arms. In 24 hours, she had lost her marriage, her lover, and her job. Oleg tried calling 3 times. The conversations were short and hollow. Marina, he said, voice strained. I didn't expect her to take everything. I need time. I have. Nothing now. He didn't sound like the man she'd fallen for. Without his wealth and power, Oleg was just a broken voice on the other end of the line. And Marina realized something chilling. Without the shine of success, Oleg didn't interest her anymore. The romance was dead. And this was only the beginning of her downfall. While Marina's life was unraveling, those she once took for granted were building new beginnings. Andrei, now free from the lies, met Lydia Nikolaevna, an architect designing his future countryside home. Lydia was 5 years older, a widow with a 10-year-old son. She wasn't glamorous, but she radiated warmth, sincerity, and quiet strength. Are you sure you want such a big house? She asked one afternoon, spreading blueprints across the table. I'm hoping to fill it with happiness, Andrei replied, giving her a soft smile. Their connection started as a professional collaboration, then a friendship, and soon, something deeper. Lydia never rushed. She knew Andrei needed time to heal, but slowly her presence began to stitch his heart back together. Elena Kravtsova, too, didn't waste time mourning her marriage. She poured her energy into the business and eventually met Dmitry Sergeyevich, a cardiologist who admired her resilience and heart more than her money. He treated her with respect, not reverence, and for Elena, that was everything. Victoria, whose careless words had accidentally unraveled Marina's web of lies, found herself unexpectedly rewarded. Thanks to Elena's recommendation, she joined a prestigious modeling agency and began a successful career. When she learned the full story, how Marina had lied for months, used Oleg for thrills, and carelessly dragged others into the fallout, Victoria was shaken. She cut all ties. I didn't mean to ruin your life, she told Marina over one final call. But looking back, maybe it wasn't me who ruined it. Meanwhile, Marina tried to stay afloat. With her reputation scorched and her resume under scrutiny, no respectable agency would hire her. Her name was whispered in circles, not with admiration, but with caution. Eventually, she settled for a low-paying job at a print shop designing flyers and banners. Gone were the luxury handbags, fine dining, and secret vacations. Now she rode the metro to work and ate lunch alone in a crowded break room. One rainy evening, she met Gennady Petrovich, a tabloid journalist with wrinkled shirts, a smoker's cough, and a thirst for scandal. He listened to her story with the attentiveness of a man who smelled headlines. Your life, he said, scribbling in his notebook, is pure gold. Corruption, betrayal, elite families, broken hearts. This could blow up. Desperate for attention, money, or perhaps validation, Marina agreed to an anonymous interview. The resulting article, titled The Dark Side of Glamour, How the Elite Destroy the Lives of Ordinary Women, spread like wildfire. It twisted facts, pointed fingers, and painted Marina as a victim of a heartless world. But she had underestimated Elena Kravtsova again. Within days, Elena's lawyers proved the article was defamatory. Gennady was fired, and a lawsuit was filed. Marina was left with nothing, again. Even her story had been used and discarded. Gennady vanished. Her name was mud. Her phone stopped ringing. Her inbox stayed empty. And Marina finally understood. The world wasn't cruel. It was just tired of people like her. As the months rolled by, Marina slipped deeper into obscurity. She moved into a modest one-bedroom apartment in a gray suburb far from her old life. No more designer clothes, no invitations to elegant parties. Just the quiet hum of the fridge and the occasional knock from a nosy neighbor. She stopped wearing makeup. She stopped smiling. And slowly people stopped remembering her name. The only one who still remembered, in a twisted, tragic way, was Oleg Kravtsov. After the divorce, Oleg tried to restart his career. But without Elena's money and family connections, doors that once opened with a glance now remained firmly shut. His reputation was shredded. Known as the man who cheated on his powerful wife and lost everything for a younger woman who left him the moment his empire crumbled. He moved into a small rental on the edge of the city and picked up freelance gigs wherever he could. Most didn't last. Depression set in, and so did the alcohol. One November evening, cold rain soaking through his worn-out coat, Oleg stood on the edge of a train platform. No one noticed him. No one cared. And as the lights of the train approached, he stepped forward. It made the news briefly. A middle-aged man, former agency director, dead by suicide. No foul play suspected. Marina found out from a short news article online. The police called her for formalities, labeling her a close contact. But she refused to come in. She didn't want to see his body. She didn't want to remember what they used to have. She didn't want to face what she had become. At work, no one knew her full story. She kept her head down and did her job, barely speaking beyond what was necessary. The only reminder of her past came one Saturday afternoon at a shopping mall. She was buying discount groceries when she saw Andre, her Andre, standing in line at a toy store, holding a board game and smiling down at a young boy. Beside him stood a woman with kind eyes and gentle hands, Lydia. They looked happy, effortlessly happy. Andre didn't see Marina, but she saw everything. And in that moment, something inside her cracked, not from jealousy, but from realization. She had traded that quiet, stable happiness for illusions. And now even the illusions were gone. A full year had passed since Marina's golden life shattered like glass. Andre married Lydia in a small ceremony with just a few close friends and family. Their home, the one Andre had always dreamed of, echoed with laughter and the sound of little footsteps. Lydia's son Max had found in Andre a father he could count on, and Andre in turn found peace. They didn't travel the world or dine in Michelin-star restaurants. But every evening when they sat down at the kitchen table, surrounded by warmth and genuine love, it felt like paradise. Funny, Andre once said to Lydia as they watched Max ride his bike in the yard. I used to think happiness came with price tags. Now I know. It looks like this. Elena Arkadyevna had moved on too. After finalizing the divorce, she rebuilt her company stronger than before, this time without the shadow of betrayal looming overhead. She fell in love again, this time with Dmitry Sergeyevich, a calm, grounded cardiologist who loved her for her mind, not her family name. Together they traveled, supported charities, and shared a quiet life that required no secrets. Even Victoria, the friend whose accidental words had set off the avalanche, found success. Thanks to Elena's connections and a push from Andre, she entered the modeling world and thrived. She never spoke to Marina again. Not out of cruelty, but because some bridges once burned should never be rebuilt. And Marina? She existed. That's all. She walked to work every morning, past cracked sidewalks and old billboards she once might have designed herself. Her clothes were plain, her phone old, her eyes tired. Men no longer turned to look at her. Women no longer envied her. Every night she returned to her apartment, unlocked the 3 bolts on the door, and stepped into silence. No one waited for her. No one called. No one cared. Sometimes she dreamed of the past, the soft sheets in the luxury hotels, the compliments from Oleg, the proud gaze of Andre when she entered a room. But even her dreams began to fade, replaced by the ticking of a broken clock on the wall and the occasional distant sound of neighbors arguing through thin walls. She'd had it all and lost it for nothing. And so she sat in that quiet apartment, night after night, asking herself the question that would never be answered. Was it worth it? Thanks for watching. That's how this story ended, with silence, regret, and one final lesson. Have you ever made a choice that changed your life forever? Drop your story in the comments. Someone out there needs to hear it. And if this hit you deep, like and subscribe. More real stories, bold, raw, and unapologetically honest, are coming soon.